In the decade since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Manchester United has spent £1.32 billion in the transfer market. But despite that, they've not come close to winning the Premier League. And for many, the club's transfer activity is to blame. They're either spending too little or too much, too rash or too slow. But of more concern is the lack of a true and consistent recruiting strategy. And with that in mind, this is the story of those 10 years of transfer failure. Alex Ferguson's personality defined Manchester United. He was a singular voice, and once gone, United's identity would be too easily influenced by whomever was coaching them. When combined with regular coaching changes and contrasting philosophies, the result would too often be quick changes in philosophical direction that led to wastage and underperformance. Ahead of the 2013-14 season, which was David Moyes' first and only year, United added only Marouane Fellaini to the squad that had won the title. It was a summer spent pursuing Cesc Fabregas and Thiago Alcantara, but which ended with the player from Moyes' former club, Everton, and who conformed to his previously direct style of play. In January, Juan Mata was signed from Chelsea, but Moyes wouldn't last the year, and he was sacked in April of 2014. Next, the 2014-15 season brought the arrival of Louis van Gaal and a swift change in direction. And the Herrera suited Van Gaal's need for a disciplined, tactically aware midfielder, and Daley Blind had been coached by Van Gaal at national team level, as well as having risen through the Ajax academy system. Luke Shaw and Marcos Rojo were signed for a combined €57.5 million, and late in the summer, a club record deal was agreed for Angel Di Maria. 12 months on, there were more reinforcements. A connective €96 million was spent on Bastian Schweinsteiger, Matteo Darmian, Memphis Depay and Morgan Schneiderlin, while goalkeeper Sergio Romero joined on a free transfer. Late in the summer window, Anthony Martial was bought from Monaco for €60 million. Van Gaal would win the FA Cup, but amid complaints about a lack of entertainment, he was dismissed and replaced by Jose Mourinho at the season's end. And Mourinho probably had the most clear impact on United's transfer policy. Eric Bailly joined from Villarreal, and Henrik Mkhitaryan, a player who theoretically suited Mourinho's counter-attacking football perfectly, moved from Borussia Dortmund. They cost €80 million between them. They also broke the world transfer record to re-sign Paul Pogba for €105 million, and they added Zlatan Ibrahimovic on a free transfer, who Mourinho had long admired. Ahead of the 2017-18 season, Romelu Lukaku and Nemanja Matic, who fit the physical profile of Mourinho players, joined, as did Victor Lindelof. The trio cost €163 million, and midway through the season, in January, Alexis Sanchez arrived in exchange for Henrik Mkhitaryan going in the opposite direction. And United would finish second, their highest place to that point in the post-Ferguson era. United would follow that by signing Fred from Shakhtar Donetsk for €59 million and Diogo Dalot from Mourinho's old club Porto for €22 million. But Mourinho didn't last until Christmas. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer replaced him at the end of 2018. Solskjaer lacked the experience to have a definitive type of player, but he would prove most effective on the counter-attack. And that, again, would show in United's transfer traits. The following year, winger Daniel James moved from Swansea for €17.8 million, and fullback Aaron Wan-Bissaka joined from Crystal Palace for €55 million. Centre-back Harry Maguire was signed for €87 million from Leicester City, and he suited playing in a deep defensive line. Sporting Lisbon's Bruno Fernandes joined for €67 million in January of 2020. The following summer, the football world was reeling from the effects of the pandemic, and United noticeably contracted their spending. Donny van der Beek and young Uruguayan winger Facundo Pellistri both moved to Old Trafford. Atalanta's Amad Diallo would follow in the winter window. Fullback Alex Telles also signed for €15 million, and the veteran Edinson Cavani arrived on a free. In 2021, Jadon Sancho was signed for €85 million that summer. So was Rafa Varane for €40 million, and Cristiano Ronaldo is 17. John Murtough became the club's football director earlier that year in March, and that group, as a three, seemed to represent a movement away from coaching-led signings. Sancho may have been a counter-attacking specialist, but Ronaldo, by that stage, certainly wasn't. Big spending on big names was back. But of course that wasn't the only criticism. While a deal for Sancho was completed, it was second time lucky. The previous summer, United had dedicated plenty of time to pursuing him, but with no success. As with Harry Maguire the previous year, they were widely accused of dithering in the market. Now, this would be Solskjaer's last season at the club. He was dismissed and briefly replaced by interim Ralf Rangnick. Eric Ten Hag would succeed him on a full-time basis, but he was supported by another round of coach-centric spending. Former Ajax midfielder Christian Eriksen moved on a free. Lisandro Martinez and Antony were also signed from Ten Hag's former club for a combined €152 million. And so was young fullback Tyrell Malacia, who moved from Feyenoord in the Eredivisie for €15 million. But then, following a humiliating early season loss to Brentford, the club moved quickly to sign veteran defensive midfielder Casemiro for €70.6 million. And that, of course, brings us to the present day, with United still struggling to keep pace with the top of the Premier League, whether that be Manchester City, Liverpool, or more recently even Arsenal, despite over £1 billion spent and having made the biggest transfer deficit during the 10 seasons between 2013 and 2022. Now, of course, that spend isn't necessarily the problem, nor generally are the players who've been signed. Rather, what probably characterises Manchester United's transfer activity during this period has been its adherence to the temporary needs of its coaches, rather than long-term strategy. And the result has often been a squad that suits nobody.